G'day, and how are you going today? Especially, how's it going with those that you love the very most? I'd like you to stop and to think about a question today, and the question is, do you think that God's law matters anymore? I mean, what is the law of God? In the old-fashioned world, we used to think about the Ten Commandment law of Almighty God. And many of us would be able to rattle them off and we'd know what God's law said, and we'd try and attempt to live our lives in accordance with those laws. But things have changed in our modern era. I guarantee if you went to your friends across the street or across the way and said, hey, what is God's law all about? I wonder if they'd really know what the Ten Commandments are. Welcome to today's show. I'm James Toogood, and I think it's time that we began to explore the validity of God's law in a modern world today. I mean, let's just stop and think about it. According to science, the theory of evolution and so forth, science tells us that this world does not have a God that interacts with it. In fact, God is somewhere else, he's somewhere other place, and if he exists at all, does he have any interest in our world today? That's what science tells us. Is science correct? What has been the result of this view and attitude upon modern society? Well, if humans are derived from the theory of evolution, that is, we began in some primordial soup billions of years ago, we've evolved slowly over the centuries, that's all a scientific process, then the question I have to pose to you is, where do we get our idea or our sense about moral absolutes from? I mean, what tells us the difference between right and wrong? And does it really matter? God in the Holy Bible says there is a right and a wrong, there is a moral absolute, and I'd like to pose this question for you to think about this morning. And the question is, if there is a moral absolute, there is a definition of right and wrong, then surely there must be a designer of that absolute. Because how can something intellectual, how can a moral absolute, something abstract, come from just a scientific process? It just shouts to me there must be an intelligent designer, a giver of the moral absolute. And if there is, well, maybe he's allowed to give us 10 laws, and those 10 laws do have a formula for human happiness even today. But think about the television programs that you watch, think about the newspapers you read, the things you're interested in, and the most exciting stuff sometimes seems to be when we read about what other people are doing that's wrong.